um, Run the Satanist is making a deal with the devil, and chasing the Christian right isn't going to help him at any time. Um, now that one of the most outrageous state legislative sessions in U.S. history has mercifully concluded, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is finally set to announce his candidacy for squatting formally, and he has quite a record to run on. In a very short time, he's built a multi-dimensional legacy of repression, abuse of power, and intolerance rarely seen in any type of modern politics in today's age. Now, some highlights from the last few weeks include a law to ban abortion at 6 weeks of pregnancy. He passed a law granting permitless concealed carry gun to carry guns. He put a ban on diversity programs in state colleges and a law to prevent teachers from using pronouns that they don't believe are appropriate, and easier access to the death penalty, and an expansion of the Don't Say Gay law of the Don't Say Gay law to block the discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity through the 12th grade. Now that's just for starters. He's pulled one culture war stunt after another, from transporting migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard to picking a fight with Disney, which is the state's largest employer, over the LGBTQ rights, to creating an election police force and having them arrest black felons who were allowed to vote in error, and on and on and on. Now, just this week, the Satanists signed into law a bill allowing the state to take transgender children away from their parents, and it seems only certain parents have rights in Florida. Now, the Satanist thinks that this is a victory, saying that he remembered when he became governor. The first day he sat in the office, and basically how he thought of it was he just looked around and thought to himself, I don't know what son of a bitch is going to succeed me in this office, but they ain't going to have much to do because we're getting all the meat off the bone. And that meat was taken out of the hides of LGBTQ children, teachers, students, immigrants, black people, and anyone who isn't thrilled with the idea of living in a dystopia. Right-wing politicians have been running on culture war agendas forever, of course, particularly on issues of race and abortion, but the Satanist has taken it to an extreme level that's verging on bizarre, even for the current GOP, and doing it while running for squatter in a political environment that has delivered one defeat after another since Republicans embraced the maggot extremism, and it seems inexplicable. If he were to beat Donald Trump in the primary and become the nominee, the Satanist's chance of winning the general election once the country becomes familiar with his radical record seems even worse than what Trump's was. So what's going on here? Why has he lurched so far to the right that he's on the verge of falling off the edge? And it's because of the religious right. Even though, like I said, you can't be a Christian and support Trump at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. And now, as long as I can remember, it's been a truism that America is an extremely pious country, and great deference must be paid to traditional Christian values. In recent years, we learned that the conservative evangelical commitment to those same Christian values was more than a little bit overstated when the Republican Party offered up an openly promiscuous, thrice-married sexual assaulting libertarian for president, and they eagerly joined his flock. It's now clear that these Americans are not really a religious group at all, but rather a political faction. That political faction is Christian nationalism, and it's a growing threat to American democracy. As it was pointed out earlier, Donald Trump is aware of how important they are to his campaign, and he proved it last weekend when he called in to Reawaken America, one of the largest Christian nationalist groups in the country. And now Turning Point USA is another Christian nationalist organization to which they feel obliged to pay fealty, and there's a good reason that they do this. According to a recent public religion research institute, Brookings Institute basically poll, Christian nationalist adherents and sympathizers make up 29% of Americans, which adds up to tens of millions of our fellow citizens. If any GOP candidate wants to win the nomination for squatter, he or she must find a way to extricate them from Donald Trump. So the Satanists decided that his best chance of doing that was to make their dreams come true in Florida and to promise to do the same to America if he wins, which he won't. And we'll have to see if he can make that appeal, but he will. But he and Republicans should probably take another look at the American religious landscape here. Now, as reported in Politico, the Association of Statisticians of the American religious bodies released its 2020 census, and they found that over the last decade, the share of Americans who associate with religion dropped by 11 points. And guess fucking what? Democrats are gaining in the places where religious affiliation is declining, and it's not the godless coastal blue states, it's mostly in the middle of the country, and the correlation is fucking astonishing. Now, across the industrial Midwest and the former West Belt states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, those places were absolutely essential to the Democrats' firewall in 2024. And there's good news for the party, that each of these states is much less religious today than it was just 10 years ago. Now, the more bad news for Republicans is that new data indicates that nearly half of Generation Z has no religious affiliation, while a new Catalyst report finds that Gen Z came out in bigger numbers in 2022 than back in 2018, and over 60% of those Gen Z voters voted for Democrat. The speculation is that this young cohort is turned off by the intolerant maggot culture war crusade, and that they are not only voting in large numbers, but will likely define themselves as Democrats their entire lives, just as earlier Democrats did in the era of Franklin Roosevelt and Republicans did when Ronald Reagan came to power. And this is a long-term problem for the GOP. The religion census found that the only metro area in the country that gained religious adherence was Miami, Florida, and the border districts in Texas that went from solid Democratic to purple at best can be explained by a rise in religious believers and mostly newer immigrants who are not especially enamored of abortion or LGBTQ rights. Arizona, too, has a big share of those same voters who are sympathetic to culture war issues. Now, you have to wonder whether or not that the Christian nationalists will be able to accept the fact that their future political clout will depend on welcoming new Hispanic immigrants into their coalition. Because let's face facts here, American Christian nationalism is really the white Christian nationalism. The reason the GOP is hitting these culture war issues so hard is that the largest single faction in the party demands of it. But they represent only 30% of the electorate, and the rest of the country is overwhelmingly appalled by what the Republicans are doing to appease them. Now, in fact, they are not only destroying the Republican Party, but it appears that they are gravely damaging their religion as well. And let's hope that they don't succeed. And let's hope that they don't succeed in destroying American democracy as well. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just as little as a few bucks a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.